Welcome to A-Way with Ashish and Naveen, where we bring you the most interesting people doing something with AI for India or in India. Our guest today is a systems thinker who operates at the intersection of industry, policy, and global economics. As the Director General of the MCCIA, Prashant Girbane is the institutional architect behind Pune's industrial engine. An IIM Ahmedabad alum with careers spanning the UN and TCS, he's perhaps best known for his Mission Vayu, a masterclass in crisis scale collaboration. Today, he happens to be leading a new mission, the Applied AI Revolution, with the target of onboarding at least 1,000 MSMEs and probably more into the AI era. Prashant isn't just talking about the future, he's building the shop floor reality for the backbone of India's economy. Prashant, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much. Great to be with you and Naveen. We know each other well, but good to be talking on this platform.
So, before we start, a lot of our listeners would not be familiar with MCCIA. So, can you talk a little bit about what is MCCIA and its importance?
Sure. So, MCCIA is an industry association. Like many people would know CII because it's a national scale.
Yeah.
NASSCOM, it's a national scale. FICCI, it's a national scale. MCCIA is a regional institution. MCCIA has been founded in 1934. So it has a rich legacy of 91 years. Today, there are more than 3,000 companies members of MCCIA. And that includes few hundred very large companies like Serum, Tata's, Bajaj and others. But also more than couple of thousand medium and small size companies, many startups. As a Chamber of Commerce, as MCCIA, broadly we do 3 or 4 things. Number one, advocacy. We would want to constantly go and tell the government that we need the ring road around Pune fast as possible. We would also want to go and tell the government as to these are our suggestions on the budget. And that's why I would have gone and met Honorable Finance Minister a month ago to talk about our recommendations for the budget. Or we go to the state. Or we want to go and tell the new policy. When the EV policy happened, the state government officials came here and they shaped up the policy. That's advocacy first. Second, whole lot of activities on building capability. While large companies would have a large HR department, L&D department, learning and development department, many small companies, micro-sized companies would not have that luxury. So they need a shared service, pooled service of training. So we work on that. That's the capability building. Last year, 13,000 MSMEs, which is companies below 500 crore turnover, got trained by MCCIA, and that covered each of the 36 districts of Maharashtra. That's our footprint on capability building. Third, whole lot of networking happens, right? Because that's one platform where a minister wants to talk to business, finds it a bit easier to come to MCCIA because then everybody would come together. It's a neutral platform. When an ambassador wants to come and talk and tell about what's happening between that country and India or Maharashtra, would want to come here because it becomes easy for her to kind of connect with everybody. In a given year, we get about 20 cabinet rank ministers and secretaries. We get another 25 of them who are ambassadors and consul generals. And then many other business to business networking events happen, including international businesses networking. So MCCI has a rich legacy of 91 years. MCCI has more than 3,000 companies as its members. MCCI has a footprint in each of the 36 districts of Maharashtra. MCCI helps build capability and enables networks or networking on its platform. That's MCCIA.
Thanks. This is an AI podcast, and the reason we really are excited about talking to you is because there are a lot of problems with the way AI gets discussed today, right? One is that it's usually US centric. If it is in India, it'll be focused towards the software industry. And even if it is not, usually it will just be, high level hand waving marketing claims by people. And none of that is useful, right? Whereas you are doing things with AI, with MSMEs, and actually doing things with, hundreds of them. So can you talk about that experience, what it has been like? What are you doing with MSMEs and AI, and what has that experience been like?
Sure. Now I'll be glad to talk about that. But before that, I'll also take a step back. and talk about what are they saying in the Western world and what are they saying at the real. How do I put it? What are they talking about in World Economic Forum? Let's start with that because then that will be a connect for everybody because everybody is listening to it. We all are listening to it, right? And from there, I'll develop a connect as to what are we doing and why it's different, right? So I think everyone has heard of Jensen from NVIDIA and the great work that he has done and doing and everything, right? But most important thing, the 5-layered cake that he talked about of AI, because it's the lexicon that everyone is connected with now. So the first being energy, the semiconductor chip, the cloud, the large language models, and then comes the application. Is that right? Did I get that right? Okay, those 5. Honorable Minister Ashwini Vaishnav-ji, who heads the ministry MeitY, Ministry of Electronics and IT, that's the apex body of deciding AI policy, also talked about these 5 layers and how India is working on each of these 5 layers. Right? In a bit different format as compared to rest of the world, right? Which is understandable. I would like to put one more layer on these 5 layers of cake, or maybe a cherry on that, on the cake. And that, in my opinion, is diffusion.
Yes.
Right. I think it's very, very important to talk about a lot more of diffusion. The reason is also pretty simple. I grew up in a tiny place, population about 10-15,000 people. Looking at a television itself was ecstasy, so to say. And looking at how a car looks like, I had to wait for me to be 17-year-old. How a train looks like, I had to wait to be a 19-year-old. How a plane looks like, had to be a lot longer than that. Forget about sitting in it. Now, I always felt that if access is provided, it would generate opportunities. If opportunities are provided, there are choices, that's freedom, and there's nothing more important than freedom, isn't it? And then would come the subsequent things of development. And hence, at the core of it is how do we provide the access? I'm not the only one thinking about it. Many people are thinking about it and doing a lot better. But I also thought about it, that it's important to think of access. And hence, the cherry on this 5-layered cake for me is diffusion. And what would it mean now in terms of what we are doing to go back to your question? So while everybody is talking, I'm also listening to World Economic Forum one after the other, what's happening on that promenade, and whole lot of it. I'm listening to a whole lot of podcasts. There is opportunities I have to interact with the FANG company and some CXOs to understand it. But I myself would want to go back to my hometown and figure it out. What are people there doing? For example, when people talked about a whole lot of internet access, and if all that they're doing is looking at one channel after the another and one reel after the other, right? I don't know if, it's not that they shouldn't, I also do on occasions, one reel after the other, but that can't be the only thing, right? So what's happening to AI from that context? So we thought last year that we would go and talk to MSMEs, because that's my job here, to focus on industry, and many of them are MSMEs. How is it that we can help the MSMEs to understand what is AI? So we thought we would need to go to MSMEs. So a couple of my colleagues, led by a 23-year-old Gauri, went to 13 different districts of Maharashtra. Physically. And talked to 1,000 micro and small companies, and some medium size, but many micro and small companies. In each of this gathering, there will be between 20 to 50 people, men and women. And you're trying to tell them, hey, there is something called computer, So, internet, yes, we understand it, we get it on our phone. There's something called AI, now what is that? And that's what you try to explain to them. And I invested about a year. And I said, there is nothing that I expect other than the fact that you go and talk to them about it.
So I think I just want to interject here, because this is brilliant, right? all conversation I've heard about AI is always about this app, that app, it is so cool, this is so nice, and so on. What is needed in India, at least at this layer of India, is you have to go in person and you have to talk to rooms of 100 people, and otherwise they're not downloading an app, right? Yeah, sorry, so that was a bit of a digression here.
Add on to what Naveen just said, I'm very curious about how you plan to go ahead and meet all the people that you did, in the sense that there are two approaches you could have taken. You could have begun with, this is what AI can do, or you could have begun with, what is it that you are not able to do? Which of these approaches did you take? Was it a hybrid, and how did you think about this?
I think first of all, I'll have to give a lot of credit to the fact that I work in an institution, right, that has a great legacy. And I have a set of resources available. Many of us have, some of us realize, some of us don't. The only credit I'll take is I realize the set of resources I have, but resources are given by my predecessors in this great institute and people who are working, my president, my board, and everybody who is supportive to make it happen. Now, what does that mean? We already run a bunch of programs, so we understand how to build capability, by the way. And we have been doing it for 9 decades. Yeah. Right? It's just that we'll have to think that the paradigm has changed. Right? And we'll have to do it in the new paradigm in a different way rather than what we have been doing all the time. In the past, people came to us. Now, half the time people come to us, half the time we go to people. To go back to what you both were mentioning, we thought we would go out there and tell them, here we are. We run other capability building programs for you, that's fine. But here is a bolt-on add-on that we have for you. Right? You go have a thali and sometimes you get a dessert if the chef is very happy, right? Or the restaurant, someone who's serving is very happy, or maybe they have some left, or God knows. But you get one of those, right? Mostly, they're very happy with you. We thought, this is what we want to give an add-on thing. We are already conducting a program for you, telling you something about finance, something about government schemes, something about government e-marketplace. But you know what? Half an hour we want to tell you. Do you want to listen to this? Most people say, yeah, why not? We'll listen to this. And that's what we told them. In one place, for example, I think it's Ratnagiri, there wasn't a hall in one of those tehsils of Ratnagiri or one of the parts of Ratnagiri district. They said, that's fine, we'll sit in the temple. So this AI session happened in temple. How telling, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
In temple, there is a 23-year-old from MCCIA doing this. I have wonderful colleagues who are in their mid-50s and they have done wonderful work. I'm very, very proud of them. But I couldn't get one of them to go and do this. I had to get somebody with 4 months of experience to plan this and execute it, because it required completely different thinking. Yeah. Right? I could only look at it if it's damaging my brand somewhere. Other than that, you have all the freedom. Even I wouldn't question you. Coming back, so this happened. My colleagues went there and talked to people and understood. While trying to explain to them, also understood how curious they are, how keen they are, how much they would want to do. And they kept in touch with them. Cut to, we finally have 100 of them saying, we are doing something with what you told us.
Lovely.
Look at the examples. Someone says, I make perfumes, right? In a district place. I make perfumes, my turnover is less than 20 lakh rupees. But you know what? You told me how to use some AI tools, and I've been trying different combinations. And it tells me without even trying the combination what it would generate. Amazing. Right? And 100 of these, and we have a publication which you'll put down, we'll put a link onto this show.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to see many of them have either increased their business in percentage revenue terms with their names given, or reduce the cost in percentage terms.
Definitely take a look at the link, because it has a very long list broken by category of MSMEs that have called the helpline, what they needed help with, what help was provided, and what was the outcome, what was the impact. Yeah.
So for example, one of them, right, the same as a gaicha gotha hai, gai machine cha gotha hai, right, how do we translate this in English now?
Cowshed.
Cowshed, So they have, it's interesting, when you study in a smaller place in vernacular, right? You get a lot of English, but you still don't get some of those those right terms, right? And I don't want my kids to watch it and like have fun at it. That's why I thought I'll ask you.
No, but also Gaitsa Gotha has a whole bunch of
Correct.
visualizations,
Imagery around
which a cowshed does not. So,
And the word that came to my mind was dairy, but that wasn't the right word.
Yeah.
Cowshed is much better.
So anyway, so there's a gentleman who has a cowshed, and the gentleman is saying, I would want to figure it out what kind of feed do I give that increases the productivity in terms of the milk that you get. The story is written in the language of the individual who talked about it in this link, right? So we got 100 of those. So to cut the long story shorter now, so that we move forward, we thought access is important because access is opportunities, choices is freedom, and freedom is important. And that's prosperity also beyond the freedom. Second, we thought we'll go to the villages, we'll go to the tahsils, we'll go to the districts, rather than sitting only in Mumbai and Pune. And we went to those places. 1,000 of them we interacted, 100 of them came back. I'm sure more people would have got it, but by that time we wanted to collect 100 stories. We collected 100 case studies, use cases of what they're doing with it. None of them we built any application for. We did not go and tell them energy, semiconductor chip, cloud, LLM application you do. No, we just told them, look, this is what it is, right? And this is what you could do, and it doesn't cost money. And why don't you try it? Right? That's diffusion for us. That encouraged us a lot. We thought each of those sessions were 30 to 50 people at a time. तो इसको आगे लेके जाते हैं. तो इसको क्या करते हैं अभी कि one-on-one interaction करना जरूरी है. To figure it out, how do we understand your problem and solve it? Then we have the next goal. Then from 1st April this year, we said, this financial year, we said, we would now have 1,000 one-on-one conversations, right? One-on-one conversations, where you should be able to come up with your laptop, machine, computer, whatever, as a small company, or just come up with your problem, use our machine, and we should sit with you and try to co-develop a solution. Right? We are not developing a software that Infosys, TCS, Wipro, and Accenture are developing, right? Which would take months together, which is understandable because they are doing some sophisticated job. We are trying to figure it out how to use the tool.
Yeah.
I mean, I should just point out, I sat through one of these conversations and it was simple stuff, right? Somebody wanted to do something with marketing, and with ChatGPT, they were trying it, they were getting stuck somewhere, and the person on the helpline, she told them, you know what, instead of trying that, why don't we go to Gemini's AI studio, and there you will be able to do this, you'll be able to control it. Simple stuff, right? I mean, to maybe some of us, this is obvious, but for somebody sitting in Latur, right? This is an insurmountable hill, and this one thing is an unlock.
Yeah.
Right?
No, very well said. And we've been fortunate, like somebody like Naveen, Dr. Naveen Kabra, but we used to call Naveen. Naveen has kind of like, come forward and guided and helped the team on occasions. So it's been very helpful. So to look at those 1,000, and by the way, we already have done 430 of them, conversations. Many of them now online because everyone may not come physically because we need to guide people from across Maharashtra. And through the conversations, then this is the second stage. Then we learned further that there are some patterns in terms of the kind of things that these people want. So what are these patterns? There's one pattern that everybody knows ChatGPT these days, right? So how do I effectively use ChatGPT? Itself is the most basic. Right? People use it for writing emails. For example, you would want to try to export. By the way, more than 45% of export of India is from MSMEs, small and micro-sized companies and medium-sized companies.
Right, it is not Infosys. Right.
Only, right?
Exactly.
They do wonderful work and very proud of them, but almost half of the exports come from these small companies. Which means these small companies will have to write to somebody in Japan in English. That's what they used to do. Now, they write in Japanese. Right? A small company is able to do that. And that's the difference, I'll tell you. When you go to a Finland, when you go to parts of Scotland, when you go to parts of South Korea, right? Small countries, they would have a very different way, or Israel, they have a very different way to look at, how they use technology. For us, it would be a very different approach. Diffusion would be a lot more important for us because momentum being mass into velocity,
Yeah.
they do not have as much mass as we have. If we get even little more velocity, we would get a huge momentum,
Yes.
and hence diffusion important, hence access important, hence approaching important. The MSME area that we already work in used to be 6.3 crore MSMEs, now that number is more than 10 crore. Right? Our idea always has been, what is it that we can do one thing that at least 100,000 companies should be able to replicate.
Yeah.
That's at the core of it. Coming back to where I was, so we 1,000 MSMEs, 1,000 small companies, we met in 13 districts. Stage 1, stage 2, 1,000 one-on-one conversation, out of which 430 we have completed. That moved us to stage 3, and that's where we are today. Stage 2 explained to us what are the patterns, and I was explaining ChatGPT, how do I use? Google AI Studio, how do I use? Gemini, how do I use? Copilot, how do I use? That's all basic things. Look at some of the case studies in this second stage that we got, which is one-on-one conversation. There is this lady who comes and says, like, I have my own institute of 4 or 5 individuals and I do language training. Right? And she's like, I have to do some promotion and the quote I have got is about 2.5 lakh rupees. 3 sessions later, she says, I don't need that now. I saved my 2.5 lakh rupees, thank you. By the way, these things are recorded on the YouTube in the language of those individuals.
Yeah.
So how did this happen? All that it required, as Naveen was saying, we said we are available to not tell you what we know now, to understand what you want, and tell you to the extent we can. And then we had one-on-one 3 sessions with this individual, 3 to 4 sessions. We said, I figured it out. So we got some patterns and developed the stage 3. So in the stage 3 now the following thing is happening. We get about 10-15 of them on a group together on a web video conferencing call, and we tell them, hey look, we heard from all of you that you are saying attendance recording is important for you and the tool that we have is going to cost you, even subscription is going to cost you. How about this? With one entity we co-developed it. So we actually sit with the individual and co-develop it. And we tell, you don't need to code. Now everybody says, engineers, you don't need engineers to code many basic things. But then what do I do with it? Because I don't know. But now I tell you, you don't need to code. Sit here, I and you would code something that you require now. We'll spend the next hour doing it. And through that, we co-developed something, a real customer requirement embedded into it. And for that, you don't have to pay me because I'm MCCIA, right? And I'll tell you. So you co-developed it. Now I tell you to talk about this to another 10 people, what you developed. 10 people give some feedback and they come back and say, no, it's different. And then collectively that applet gets developed. And then we say, now this is available for everybody. And it's not hosted with us at all. It's hosted on your own thing or whichever cloud you want to host it on. Okay. So you don't owe me anything. I don't track anything. I don't want anything from you. 18 different companies now have moved on to that journey in the last 3-4 weeks that we have started this journey now. The whole idea is we would develop something that is important for at least 100,000 companies. That's the whole idea. If you need attendance management system, 100,000 companies would need it.
Yeah.
If you need visitor management one, 100,000 companies would need it.
Yeah.
Look at some of the examples. Many small companies say, यार बहुत सारे brochure देखने होते हैं, हमारा product उसमें कहाँ ढूंढे पता ही नहीं चल रहा है. These days, because AI can do imaging, image scanning and processing very fast, right?
Yeah.
So we say like, here's a small tool that we developed for you, right? You use it. And they started using, then they said, यार बहुत सारे invoices आते हैं. Then we don't get to analyze it.
Right.
So we did that for them. So somebody will have to do the last mile.
Yeah.
My good friends in great companies, they're doing wonderful work, but they're busy doing wonderful work for large companies, and they should do that because that's very important for our nation. They should continue to do that.
Yeah.
But somebody should also do this, right? So that's what we are doing. So 3 phases. First phase, 13 districts, 1,000 MSMEs. We visited there, group of 30-40 at a time. Stage 2, one-on-one consultation, 430 done. Stage 3, develop something that at least 100,000 companies would need. Maybe 100 would use, 1,000 would use it. But while developing it, somebody came and says, hey, I need something on the stock market thing. I said, not my job. Right? Nothing wrong in it. Wonderful thing.
Yeah.
Please, I mean, one must do it. It's great for capital market development, which is important for the economy. Not my job. Some people would also come and say, we need X, Y, and Z also. Thank you, but not my job. What is my job is to look at an applet that I can co-develop with you, which at least dozen other people want today. Right? I'm not dictating. Dozen other people are saying I want it.
Yeah.
And then at least 100 people should use, 1,000 people should use, 100,000 people should use. If that happens, then real diffusion is happening on ground.
So I know that this is free for the MSMEs, all this that you are doing, right? So who's paying for this?
It's a good question. Here is the thing. Legacy and goodwill is paying for it. MCCIA has the legacy of 91 years. Our members have already been paying us the annual fees. Every association gets that fees. When you think of how much money it takes, it's not a lot actually. And then we always get some good Samaritans who come and say, let me fund this. In my board, I was discussing this and I was just updating them. Two of them came forward and said, we would want to support this is a wonderful initiative. I said, thank you so much. And they supported. So part of it, because members already pay the fees. Second part of it, because we've been around for 91 years and this is what we believe we should be doing. A part of it, a couple of board members came forward and said we would want to support it. And even beyond that, the young, intelligent engineers and some non-engineers in the team, because we thought it's very important to have non-engineers as well, are able to do it because they also connect with the purpose. These are the individuals who studied AI engineering in some of very reputed institutions and came and said, this is what I want to connect with. This is purpose driven. I want to give a couple of years of my life to this. Then I'll figure out what I want to do. Our friend and senior Dr. Anand Deshpande, the chairman of Persistent, always says, right, in future you would have work but not necessarily jobs. So young people are also kind of redefining this, and they would want to do something for some time which is very purpose driven, or maybe for a lot longer, but at least for now they would want to do something. I'm very happy for them to kind of jump in, and they have a sense of ownership because they can sense every day evening when they go home, आज किसी की जिंदगी में ना कुछ बदलाव करके जा रहा हूं मैं घर. आज घरी जाताना मला किमान हा आनंद असेल की मी काय सांगितलं त्याचा काही लोकांना फायदा होतोय. It's actually helping small little companies to grow. That satisfaction with somebody with 4 months experience, right, is amazing to look in their eyes. Yeah. So thanks to all of that, it's working, and we're very glad that it's working. And there's a whole lot of good Samaritans who come and help us. We didn't introduce in this conversation, but Dr. Naveen Kabra studied in IIT Mumbai computer science and is a PhD in computer science. Try hiring 1 hour a week of someone who studied in IIT Mumbai computer science, IIT JEE rank in sub 50, and went to US, did his PhD in computer science, did startups, sold it, came back and helped many startups. Try hire an hour. Fortunately, we get it without cost attached to it in monetary terms. I think thanks to these things, actually try also hire time of Dr. Anand Deshpande, who is, he would hate me saying this, but a billionaire, who founded Persistent, chairman of Persistent, the only company that has consistently given quarter after quarter superlative performance, including what they do in AI, or mostly driven by AI. I have few hours of his time to advise, guide in the board and outside. Try hire it. We could do this thanks to the legacy built by many in MCCIA, and I find myself very lucky that I'm on such a platform that I'm able to shape it up. That's how it happens.
So there are two directions in which I want to take the conversation about the 430 people that you have so far spoken to, and it's very early days yet. But given what you spoke about young people and how they are either adopting or will adopt, are you seeing early trends of younger people being more comfortable, or is there no correlation with age, number one? And I have a follow-up question, but I'll wait for your answer to this question before asking the next one.
Look, I mean, it's natural. There are a lot more younger people, but coincidentally, right, there are people of all age and all kind of background and category. Like I told you, Gaisa Gotha, attar manufacturing, scent, don't even call it perfume, scent manufacturing is what it would be called there, to somebody who is doing the language training, to someone who is working in an institute which had supercomputer, right? To all sorts of people have come and consulted. So it's diverse in that sense, because it's the comfort that people get, and word of mouth referencing works fantastic, right? Somebody goes and says, hey, you just got to go there and you don't have to know anything. You can just sit there, and when you come out of that room after an hour, you learn something. And in the colloquial terms, hey, there are a couple of kids there at any point in time, and they tell you very respectfully as to what's happening without you feeling that you don't know something. I think that environment is very important on how it's communicated as well, right? So I think that's why, to answer your question, largely younger people, which is natural, but no, people of all ages.
Lovely. And this is actually a useful segue to my second question. So you spoke about people have learned how to build something, a visitor management system, an attendance management system, but then they come and ask you, can I build a stock picking tool or something along those lines? The real magic, in my experience with AI, happens when people realize that they can be asking the AI itself this rather than somebody else. And then they have that magic eureka moment where they go, wait, what else does this unlock for me? Do you see early evidence of that magic moment happening? And is there some trend around this?
So that's happening. See, look, what people can do with talking to AI itself, that they can do at their place as well. They don't need to come all the way here. But when they come here, there are 2-3 things happening. Ek watadya hai itha. Somebody who is kind of holding your hand and saying, this is a huge jungle, digital jungle that you got, right? Don't just keep wandering around all over the place and feeling you are in somewhere there, right? I will tell you. And you know what? It's not because I'm telling you I know everything. I'm telling you because I have talked to a bunch of people like you. And by the way, they have benefited from it. When you're in business, right? Your eyes, would be all ears the moment you say others have benefited from it. And then they would want to know, acha, theek hai. So the Watadya part of it, somebody who is showing you the direction, pathways, helps a lot to those individuals. The other thing is, at any point in time when you tell me this is your requirement or this is what you're thinking of, I also tell you, by the way, here are the dozen other things happening. You all know Amazon now, right? I mean, all of you use mostly Amazon. You buy one thing and it tells you these are the 10 things you might like. Right? So we tell people, here are the 10 things others are using. I don't have to make a license money. Most others have done in a cooperative manner. They don't have to make anything. So they're pretty happy to say that, fine. And every time other people give some input to it, the quality improves. So your attendance management system is going to be far better if 10 other people give you input. The reason it works, we have run clusters like this for many years in physical form, where people figured it out, like lean manufacturing cluster, right? 10-12 people came together and they figured it out that to begin with they had a lot of resistance. Hey, how if they get to know everything that I do and all of it, we have the same customer, same OEM, same Tata Motors, same Bajaj, same Piaggio, right? Then they eventually figure out, no, we learn a lot from each other. Now in digital world, it's working even faster. So yes, people, when they figure out something, that they say, wow, there are 10 other possibilities, happy. And when they go home, they try some of these things on their own. So when we met people, right, some of them, let's say Sandesh Salyan, he runs one Dali and Samir. So Sandesh's team came here and we're talking to him about some of these things that picked it up, and they said, hey Sandesh, there is another applet. Hey, by the way, thank you so much, but you know what, my team has picked up and taken it forward from there. We're happiest.
Exactly.
Because ideally we should not be needed. Right? Or if it's not needed for few of them because they have picked it up, we'll do that for the other people. We'll be happy with this.
Fantastic.
So, I mean, I know that you are from a very small place. I mean, for your place, Latur was like a big city, right? So I just am curious to know, places like that were definitely helped by the mobile revolution, right? Now, do you see AI as helping those people? I mean, so far we have talked about MSME, but that's a very different kind of people. Do you see that as helping, or this is more of a, higher level thing that doesn't matter to people in the village? What do you think?
I think it will help a lot. Honorable Minister Ashwini Vaishnav talked about it, and many of us know. There are three major areas where AI could make a significant contribution in India. Many areas, but three major areas. One, we talked about MSME because that's my job now and that's focus. There are two other areas, agriculture and healthcare. I own farm in my village. It's my dad ended up putting in my name now. So I own the farm literally as a title owner of it. So once in a while when I go, I spend some time in the farm. झाडावरती कीड पडणे, right? So we know that once in a while all the farm gets destroyed with certain कीड. How do you deal with it, right? Today, when I take certain images and send it to wherever they get processed, I get lot better input as compared to a hearsay, right? शेजारचे काका सांगतायत त्यांना असं वाटलं, but it's his perception. Or in another of our relative from the nearby district told their perspective, but they wouldn't necessarily have taken into account all the contextual things happening in the weather in that microcosm there. Whereas now, when I send those images, somebody sitting in Pune, Mumbai, or wherever the servers are in the cloud is able to look at thousands of images and in that look at the pattern and where exactly my pattern fits in, right? Would have a huge implication on how my family does farming in my village. Second, sad thing, but important to tell because many people would observe this. My grandmom grew up in a village of some 3,000 population. She needed to be taken to the district hospital in an ambulance. Unfortunately, the ambulance didn't come in time, and it had the eventuality. Fortunately, now things have developed in 2 generations, and there are ambulances and things work and all of it, which is wonderful and nice. Imagine the whole telemedicine happening. That a doctor in the village being able to connect with the best of the experts through ABHA, ABHA and rest of the initiatives that the government is running, and take all possible consultation and do far better than he or she would have done individually. So in that village, there is a huge implication on agri and healthcare. Is it already there? No, the answer is not yet. There are things that the governments need to do. There are things that large corporations should come forward and do. And eventually it will get there, but those are the 2 areas. Last but not the least is the education part of it. Right? Studying in the village, I would always thought that I would study a lot more of maths. My dad taught maths, and I thought I would study a lot more of maths. But the limits were the number of books that we had access to. Right? Computers and internet allowed a lot more. But beyond that, me wanting to study what I would want to study is whole lot more of an access I would get thanks not to just the computer and internet, but also because of AI now. And there are many people in that tiny village that I know. Some of them are kind of brilliant writers. Right? A couple of them are very good in their tabla. Few people are good in their drawing. Some people I know that could do a brilliant povada, right? How do they get access? Internet itself allows it, but AI helps them to be very connected to in a very customized format, very contextualized format with the relevant groups and take it forward. Is it happening already? Unfortunately, no. This whole real part of it, because this is how we swipe, right? And hence the real part of it. This might give some wrong signal to people, but yeah, equally bad. The real part of it,
this is worse.
The real part of it is unfortunately overtaking. But I'm sure that at least there are a few, even if it's far between, people who are able to pick up what they can do. The idea is to enable it. In my own small town, 5-6 years ago, I could talk to some IT companies and told them, whatever old computers you have, why don't you give it to me? And we got about 20 to 50 of them. sent to the village and ran a small experiment. He said, all that we'll do is, there's a room and a couple of my friends came forward, nice of them, and they said like, hey, no rental for this place. Somebody said, I'll take care of electricity bill. I'll get you the computers. And we connected to the internet and said, this is free for any and every child in the village to use. Some 2,500 children used it for free.
Wow.
Coincidentally, Honorable Chief Minister, when he was Chief Minister then also of Maharashtra, came all the way and inaugurated it and looked at it all of that. But then, to cut the long story short, if that could happen in the internet era, some of these things happening in the AI era would take even more forward. Because it's all about access.
So there's a related question, right? Earlier when you were talking about the MSME, one of the most surprising and very interesting thing I heard was this person physically going to all these districts and talking to rooms of people. And in some sense, I would say that was needed for the next digital stage to happen, right? And a similar story we know from, say, the adoption of UPI. In villages, villagers don't know how to use UPI, but then the local shopkeeper becomes the person who disseminates that diffusion, as you say, right? Coming back to the village, do you think something of that sort is needed, and what's your guess? Who would do it?
Sure, I think that's a good point, right? UPI was about commerce. If it's about education, it has to be the teacher. Right? And somebody who is already trusted, respected, all that you got to do is give tools. All teachers may not pick up. Like all human beings, like, teachers also are subset of that, like, all may not pick up. But some who would pick up could take it a long way. Many times, right, sitting in Delhi, Mumbai, Pune, we all are too busy trying to tell them what to do. How about this? Just asking each of them, tell us the 10 things in an interesting way that you are using AI. Maybe you'll get one from each village. In the district that I come from, there are 900 villages possibly, or a little more than that. Maybe 10% of them would respond to 100 ideas, 36 districts, 3,600 ideas. But you know what? Somehow we need to have a patience for listening and wanting to know how people are using it, and then building something. If all things are getting built only based on, what we heard in which laboratory, then it would have still the same fate that it has had so far, which means till the benefits of it go to the Antyodaya, which is the last leg of it, we'll have to wait for too long. And that's why the idea is to work on the cherry on the cake called diffusion. That is not to say others are not important, very, very important and wonderful work happening, that's great. But somebody got to work on this cherry on the cake. Right? And that's why diffusion important, that's why because access is important. And you know what, some of these things would fail, it may not work. Some of our interactions also failed. I mean, I'm telling you this 18 things working in stage 3, 20 of those have failed already. And then we figured it out, no, this doesn't work, because we thought it would work. But every time we have listened, it has worked. It's very simple. And you know what? It has taken lesser effort for us. Every time we have listened. I don't have to do anything. You telling what you want, he's saying, wow, this is exciting, I also want. And you are co-developing with me. I don't need every time to invoke C.K. Prahlad, who wrote about value co-creation in this Harvard Business Review, right? The famous value co-creation part of it. I realized it. Right? I think so. That's the wonderful thing of listening and allowing these 1,000 experiments to happen and allowing them to fail is what needs to happen. And that's why I'm very thankful to the board in MCCIA that they allowed us to fail as long as the intent is right, as long as there is the focus on the proper governance of what we are doing, who we are doing it for. We have moved from the world where 10 people for whom we do something would come and say thank you, to thousands of people who don't even know who we are individually. Right? And that gives us a lot of satisfaction. Sorry, you're saying something.
No, I was just saying that you're saying listening is easier for you, but really listening when you want to say something is much harder than anything else, right? Because we all have things we want to say and we're just waiting for our turn to say it. So listening is hard. We all have to learn.
No, as an individual, right, it's hard for me also as an individual.
Yeah.
I'm also very talkative and would want to talk. But as an organization, I'm glad that there are other individuals in the organization. As an organization, we have become a lot more in the listening mode of it, and hence it helped.
I wanted to touch on the part about the school teacher playing the pivotal role. And the more I think about that idea, the more I like it. I'll tell you 3 reasons why I really like it. I'm curious to get your reaction. The first is you can almost turn the school into a sort of shelling point for if you want to learn about AI, this is the place you go to. One. Second, is a perfect place to do low-cost experimentation. So the teachers and the students can work on repeated AI experiments and they have the context of what is needed for that particular area. And third, and to me most important, you are in a sense pre-solving the same problem 5 years down the line. If you have kids who grow up in an AI first workflow and they join the workforce, that's your problem 5 years down the line solved already. I love this idea. Have you thought about it and how are you looking to scale this particular aspect up?
Oh, thank you. I must mention that I haven't thought about everything. That's Dr. Ashish being the economist teacher that he is. He could come up with a very wonderful frameworks to explain it, but very nice one. I think you're right. Here's how I visualize the whole thing, just to build on what you mentioned, right? Picture this. We decide that here is what we are conversing. Right? And this conversation is available for every school. And we meet every Sunday or every Friday at 4 in the afternoon. And this conversation is available to everyone. And students are able to ask the questions. Sitting here, we are able to respond. It hasn't costed us anything more than what we are doing. B, students are able to believe that they are able to talk to us. Now, of course, just replace me and put, let's say, somebody more important. And that's happening, let's say, on. How do we make this happen? Government is the only entity anywhere in the world that can make it happen at scale. Right? If these things happen at scale and they require experimentation, rather than waiting to boil the entire ocean, right? Everybody doesn't have to do Amrit Manthan. Right? Let's respect those who did. Everybody doesn't have to do it. You boil your cup of water, get your tea and feel refreshed, and that's good. Because that activity is simultaneously happening by a million people. It's not bad activity, just boiling pot of water. So I think when those things would be enabled to begin with, where again you are not telling people what you think. You are not the expert going there and telling, this is what AI would do. No, you are just asking people, right? What do you do with the internet? Have you heard of this? Maybe you are asking some questions. Right? And enabling that would not cost anything. I think that would be a good beginning of doing this happen. And if you can't do as a government entity anywhere, whether Maharashtra, outside, doesn't matter which country in which state, create a small little fund and say, let 20 entities try this out. Some entities would fail, some entities would succeed, those who succeed, get them to do more of it. In the last 20 years, MCCIA worked on 3 different clusters. I'll tell you the reason and how it connects. We created a cluster called Auto Cluster. Required 70 crore rupees approximately, 50 crore Government of India gave, DPIIT about 8-10 crore rupees, state government gave 8-10 crore rupees we got from industry. It's helping 1,000 odd MSMEs in auto and auto component sector. We created something on food processing, we created something on electronic manufacturing, similar clusters. And Government of India would have such 300 such clusters all over the country. Imagine the clusters now in similar fashion that they are done. And out of 300 clusters that we did in the past, I'm sure 200 worked, 100 don't work. Out of the 200 that work, 100 really work and other 100 are not even actually working as well. But at least 100 worked. Right? You need to have this model again where you experiment. It's a wonderful thing to go to Davos and listen to the conversations. I genuinely mean it. I'm not saying for the sake of it. I genuinely believe in it. I worked with United Nations. I believe it's wonderful to talk at macro level. Somebody needs to do this. But it's equally important if not more, to work on the diffusion part of it and allow many people to try this out, not just me alone, allow many people to try this out, so that those who are working would be able to replicate and make it even more. I think that's what it is.
You said that government is the only thing that can do things at scale, but also would you say that government is good at taking something that is seen to be working and then scaling it? So it makes sense for somebody to do the smaller scale experiments and then also have the right kind of interface to go and convince government. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think as MCCI also you have some experience with this stuff.
It's wonderful. So I think a step back, scaling up can happen in two formats. One, there is a commercial incentives to scale up something, right? So, and that's the best form of scaling up, right? I give you something for which you pay me, and as some people say, it's a double thank you moment, where what you get, you thank me, and I get from you, I thank you, right? So either it's millions of these double thank you moments happening, and hence the commerce working, and that's a brilliant thing to happen. That's the best way of scaling up. Until that happens, there is a market failure, and hence it's difficult to tell the economics professor on market failure, but I had to use the term and will proceed. When there's a market failure, government must intervene and create this at scale. To the point that you mentioned, Naveen, it's very true that ideally government allows not things in the blue sky and come up with something to implement all over the country. Ideally, it allowed small experiment, as you said, low cost experiment, Ashish, and picks up something that has more chances of working, unless it's a fundamental research part, and then supports that and scales it up. So you're absolutely right. But to do that, there needs to be this kind of a cluster-based approach. Governments, interestingly, all over the world, including India, always like precedent. ऐसा पहले कभी किया है क्या? ठीक है, right or wrong, but that's how governments operate. So they need to think, rather rethink. They already know how to operate clusters. It's just that they need to rethink about operating clusters in this new era, in this new age. And if they can use that approach, which is very transparent approach, which is competitive approach, but then you still end up funding certain entities all over the countries, and you allow them to work. Some would work, some would fail. Those that work, you scale it up. So you're right. You look at the other entities to try this, and many are trying. Many are trying some wonderful things, right? We would be very keen as MCCIA also to know what others are trying, and rather tell them where we failed, so that you don't fail the same place. Right? So yes, you are right. Should look at small little things, but I'll tell you what. In a developing economy, right? When you have many priorities, very unfortunately, everything that's important doesn't become urgent. Rather, everything that's urgent starts looking important. I think that's the sad part of it. The good part of it, if in all over the economy, all over the world, we are the fastest growing large economy. If all over the world, everybody thinks that, we are the biggest marketplace. If we have the talent that we have, if we would have the data sets that we would have, if the government is putting those 5 layers, some of us could happily put that cherry on that cake and say, this is the diffusion that we would work on.
So speaking of urgency, this is a question I think about and don't have a clear answer for in my own context. Models are getting somewhere between 6 to 10 times better every year, depending on how you define it, and getting somewhere between 10 to 100 times cheaper every year, again, depending on how you define it. What that means 5 years down the line is a question I would rather not think about. But even over the next 2 to 3 years, both for MCCIA's internal workflows and for the firms that you're working with, how do you think of handling this rate of development, and what does it imply? How do you think about this question, let alone the answer?
No, you're right. I mean, a token costing $30, if it's going to cost 30 cents, right? If that's the pace with which it's working, it's a wonderful thing. But also there are still challenges in terms of and we all heard this, and this is the kind of macro WEF stuff, right? Not the diffusion stuff, but we'll spend a minute or two on that. If the energy requirements that we have
Yeah.
And the grid structures that we have is still not sufficient. And then how the grid should be networked in a manner that they would be networked so that the energy layer is taken care of. But that's a challenge, fortunately, the trillionaires, not billionaires, would possibly solve. Like, Elon is busy with it, Jensen is busy with it, bunch of others are busy with it, so we'll leave them to solve that problem. We have an issue in terms of everything dependent on Taiwan-China situation and what happens to the chip layer, right? But that's something Narendra Bhai would be busy with, she would be busy with, somebody, the Trump would be busy with, so I'll leave it to them. And where Mr. Vaishnav is talking about doing something that is not trying to be at the frontier all the time in terms of developing the model that you talked about. We are okay if that model is smaller as long as it's taking care of our particular peculiar needs. And we would focus our energy rather there. Of course, we'll be very happy to also compete on every other front. But trying to compete on every front, we don't want to lose on what's our contextual requirement at this point in time. So, to me, that diffusion is way lot more important. Developing those contextualized models is way lot more important. Rather than me losing everything else and trying to compete with US or China just for the sake of it and saying, I'll have the largest model, I'll have the largest lines of code, and this would use the largest GPU or smallest GPU now, you'll have to say the other way around, right? I think that's not our race today.
Yeah.
You would want to get there fastest possible. Today the race is whatever the world has developed, how do I make most use of it so that I'll have better agriculture, better healthcare, better education, and better, most competitive MSMEs in my country. I think that's the race we would want to run. We do not want to run the race of building the largest model. We want to run the race of fastest diffusion.
Sure. I just want to drill down specifically on when we say that we are, say for example, right now you're talking to those 430 people who are trying to figure out how to use AI given current capabilities. Let's assume it takes somewhere between 3 to 9 months for those capabilities to develop, given what we know of where models are today. But you're talking about a new class of models coming out in 1 year. Adjusting those workflows is going to be its own internal challenge. It might unlock new capabilities in terms of smaller devices, better workflows, whatever. So how to have that forward-looking mindset in terms of deployment and diffusion? How do we think about that?
I think it's about learning to learn, right? It's that part of it, learning to learn part of it. And making it very, very easy and framework-oriented approach to do that, right? If I have this framework, what's happening is I have, let's say, these WhatsApp groups, or there are a dozen of these, and all that we do is we listen there on that WhatsApp. Enough people who are happy to tell each other what they're doing. So if I have that framework, doesn't matter whether we're solving A or B or C version of it. It's the same format. Irrespective of the technology evolution, right? For centuries, for millennia, humans have interacted in the same fashion. They come together, they form a tribe, they try to solve the problem. Today you call it WhatsApp group, by the way. But that's the tribe that we all have formed. And we'll have to enable those tribes to be formed, protect those tribes for that purpose. It's just that in today's era, the tribes are not generational. I form a tribe and I move on to be part of other tribe as well equally well, and that's fine. So we have that framework, it'll be even easier. But trust me, again, the problem isn't, are they waiting for it to be even easier, even faster? No. What you already have, if they are not using it, that's my bigger problem. Right? If people in my hometown or part of Nasik or part of other home places in Maharashtra aren't yet using the capability that's already available, that's a way bigger problem. Because this is problem, what you're talking about, Ashish, is part of the even more solution, which is even better, right? Which is going to be even better in doing this. Today, we are already at a place that I do not have to worry about switching on and off internet that we all would have done in our laboratories in the engineering colleges possibly. Or we would worry about looking over that printer when it's doing line by line printing, or waiting for that ting 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 awaz coming out of that modem, right, till this whole internet comes. Everybody has access to it. So we already have enough of resources to crack the problem. Now, I do not want to wait for the environment to be faster, better, etc. What we have today is what we need to work on.
So You used to be a high-flying TCS executive working with the biggest banks in London, Zurich, Singapore, New York, right? I actually saw this in your LinkedIn. So, how did you end up here doing this?
How did I end up here? I think because it all depends on where you begin it, I guess. Because I began it from the tiny town that I began it from. I was very keen when I used to play Gilli Danda in Hindi, right? Vitya Dandu. One always has to look up when you play Gilli Danda, by the way. So, and every time I looked up, once in a while, you'd see a plane. And you'd feel what it must be, right? And once a year you'd get to see this. What it must be like, on the plane. So my dream was to sit in the plane. I don't know what that meant, but just that was a dream. And to cut that story shorter, it took me wherever it took, studied and went to work in these places that I worked in. I think I enjoyed traveling a lot. Some 25 countries, 22 countries, I think. And I was very happy with what I was doing. Technology fascinated me. I got to work on technology. I worked on e-governance and banking, both areas. So both fascinated me because both had the larger impact, right, in what they do, both finance field as well as government field. But I always wanted to come home, right? Home, I couldn't go to hometown because I can go to the farm, take a couple of selfies, but I'm not very good at it, I must admit it. At least my folks in the home family would not think that I'm very good at it. So I had to be productive and I had to do something. So I thought this is where I'll be, and it always fascinated me to do something that would have scale and impact. And something that would have purpose. Many people do that. And I'm one of them, and I'm very happy to be one of them, that I wanted to find some purpose. This connects me. It makes me feel that I'm doing something that goes back to how I grew up in terms of access being important, in terms of diffusion being important. So it's a full circle, and it feels nice. And that's as simple as that. Whatever you're doing, you should feel nice about it, or you should do something that you feel nice about. So I spent a lot of time in corporate world feeling nice about what I was doing. Now I'm doing what I feel nice about. So I think that's where it is. I'm pretty happy with this because I get to do some wonderful things, and there are lots of people who contribute to it. The board that we have, the president that we have, the executive committees we have, committee chairs we get colleagues. I told you about Gauri, Ismail working on this initiative, Neeraj working on this. So many colleagues come together and do this. And I talked about even you people, Dr. Deshpande and other people coming and wanting to contribute. So that's the beauty of it, right? When you're doing something that's driven by purpose, many people come and contribute, and you listen compliments for it. That's a wonderful thing. Boss, many people have done this, and all I'm saying is thank you, right? So I think some benefits of doing purposeful things. Yeah.
So, speaking of the young people you're working with, right? You worked with a lot of young people. You take these students who have just finished or have less than 6 months of experience, and you dump a lot of responsibility on them, right? Given all that is happening with AI and the uncertainty and so on, what advice or even just suggestions would you have for young people?
Sure. So first of all, young people possibly are at this moment, right, typing it on ChatGPT or Gemini and asking rather than wanting to know from me. But nevertheless, now that we are doing this podcast, I should continue. At least my teenagers are not listening to this, but maybe somebody's teenagers would listen to this. With that hope, I'll continue to respond. I think the pace of learning needs to be a lot faster.
Yes.
Right. Second, don't fear about technology, IT, computers, and AI if you're not from the engineering field. Just do not worry and do not fear about it. Many people who are benefiting do not know any of this. I worked in an IT company for long. I am running this initiative now, or I'm guiding this initiative. I cannot code a single line. At some stage in engineering, I would have done it some 30 years ago, but not anymore, right? And I don't need to. Those who are doing is wonderful. Let them do it because we need them. But everybody doesn't have to and doesn't have to worry about it. It's just about using it. So first of all, get that fear out of it. Second, you might have heard this before. It's not that the AI would take away your jobs, and you have mentioned this, Naveen. Say that.
AI takes away tasks,
Yeah.
not jobs.
Jobs. And those who know AI or use AI would be ahead of those who don't use AI, but using AI effectively, right? The third thing, Dr. Anand Deshpande mentions this, so I'll just kind of borrow his phrase and quote him. In future, we may not have a lot of jobs, but we would have a lot of work, which means in Marathi there's a very nice line I should say, and then I'll translate. Pula Deshpande, P.L. Deshpande, the great figure in the literature in Maharashtra, said, नोकऱ्या अशा जणू की पोस्टाच्या पाकिटाला स्टॅम्प चिटकावा तशा कायमच्या अशा राहिलेल्या नाहीत. So jobs aren't like what they used to be even in that generation, where as if it's a stamp stuck to the postal envelope. Unfortunately, there are not even envelopes today, but you know what, some of you would get it. The jobs aren't permanent in simple terms, forget everything else that I said. And anyone who can be proactive can create something out of that work. Both Dr. Deshpande was saying it and someone else talked about it in World Economic Forum, I heard. You know what, somebody who is just walking the dog on the street is making more money than the entry-level IT engineer possibly. You just walk 6 dogs, you get per hour for walking the dog, and those who love dogs, like, you know, there's a wonderful thing happening around there. So there's a whole lot of, I'm not saying that that's a good or bad thing, but whole lot of wonderful things happening that you'll be able to do in the AI world. If you saw from Tanga, you moved to the car or whichever vehicle, 4-wheeler, right, was one revolution. From doing something the way textile industry moved, this revolution is even bigger. Nothing to be scared about, but a lot more to be aware about. Listen to people, understand what's happening around you, don't be scared, and just try it out. That's all that I would say.
I mean, I hope that in 1 year, when students ask ChatGPT for advice, ChatGPT will give them this advice because it will be in the training data, right? For them.
Yeah, true.
Any last questions, Ashish?
No, just one question though about where MCCIA goes next in 2026 and how more people can find out about the work that you do and possibly even help.
Sure. So thank you. I think for the last few years, I have been discussing with the youngsters in the team and others, seniors, that we need to be prepared for a digital MCCIA. What does it mean? It's not just digitizing what we have. It's how would our interactions look like in the digital world. For example, today we created this the AI studio as well as the helpline that we have, where any MSME can call us and take an advice for free. Right? From a physical world, we used to help about 700 to 800 companies coming to our offices. Compare that with 4,200 in a year we help digitally. 5x of what we used to do because we use digital channel. That doesn't mean we won't do physical. We would have even more time to do the physical face-to-face interactions now. We are able to spend even more time. We are doing a lot more breakfast briefing sessions these days, by the way, right? As compared to what we would have done earlier. But at the same time, 5x number of people helped online, right? And that, I believe, is the way we would progress. Dr. Raghunath Mashilkar, who is also from Pune, and I've had the fortune of learning from him in Pune International Center, another organization that I'm associated with, co-authored a brilliant paper with C.K. Prahlad. It called More from Less for More. It meant should be able to do more things for more people, but with less resources. Imagine this, to help 800 people to study to learn for an hour or 2 or a day, it would have costed me so much money. For even more people, it costs me so much little money because I'm leveraging technology and digital. As long as I continue to learn from Dr. Mashilkar, from Dr. Deshpande, from Dr. Kabra, from Dr. Ashish, from many people who are part of MCCIA and many youngsters now, I think we would continue on this journey of delivering more from less for even more.
So, if somebody wants to stay in touch with what MCCIA is up to, and even specifically you, what are you up to? What are good ways of, where should they follow you? And if somebody wants to get in touch with you, what's a good way of doing that?
So MCCI would have on the screen as well as in the comment section, we would share with you the contact number to connect with the helpline and take guidance from one of those 80 experts based on what your question is. Number two, if you are keen on just doing the AI session, you would be able to connect on this other number that we have. Number three, if you are a startup and you would want to just understand the startup ecosystem, connect with incubation centers, know a bit more about it, know government schemes, then there is a third number that you have for AI startup. Beyond all of this, we would also share with you the website, the LinkedIn, the Instagram, the Twitter handle, the Facebook link, the Insta link. And I think that should take care of it. And you know what? If it doesn't, go to any AI tool and ask it. Hopefully that should also answer it.
Fantastic.
Thank you very much, Prashant. It has been a pleasure talking to you. And there is some lovely imagery that came out of this. I will go back now thinking about a session taken by a 23-year-old in a temple in Ratnagiri about how to use AI for India. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much, Naveen. Thank you, Ashish.
Thank you.
Wonderful talking to you guys as always. A lot I've learned from both of them. This may not come on the camera as much, but there's a lot that I've learned from both of them. So thank you so much for taking time out and doing this.
Thank you for listening to AV. Please subscribe to catch our latest episodes. For details and for past episodes, check out av.in, AIVEY.in.